Hi, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. My name is Ursi, and today I thought we would play cards on the playground. In a previous recording, I shared a little bit about this particularly favorite deck of mine, and it's called the Inner Child cards. You know, the playground was created from my heart, and it became activated in conversations with my dear friends, Robbie and Jimmy. And then, of course, Danny Shea was part of that to help get me over the hump of being too afraid to come and talk in the public light instead of staying in behind. That's my little puppy, Sophie. She agrees, woof, time to come out of the shadows and start sharing my joy. So before I came on the camera, I went to this particular card deck and I asked, please show me the card that best represents the energy field that I'm in now. In other words, help me understand the energy and frequency of me in this now moment. So let me share with you which card I pulled. Here it comes. And in Tarot, it is the 0 card, which many of you may know that as the Fool's card. And in the fairy tale, it is called the Little Red Cap. We remember the story as Little Red Riding Hood, but back in 1891, when the Grimm's brothers in Baden-Baden, Germany, the Black Forest, when they were writing the stories, it began as the Little Red Cap. And so we see a dark-haired maiden with a red cap, and we find out in the story that it was her loving grandmother who gave her this velvet red cap. So already we see in the story as we begin that it's the ancestors, the grandmother, giving a gift of love to her granddaughter. And here's Red. She's got a basket. Her mother sends her off to grandmother's house to bring grandma some food and tells her, now, Red, you need to stay on the path. Don't look left or right, go straight to grandma's. Don't speak to any strangers. And she goes, sure, Mom, no problem. And so she, Red Riding Hood, she represents in this fairy tale this idea of innocence, of the fool who begins a journey in earnest. You know, you don't know what you don't know. In Tarot, you'll see that picture of a fool with one foot on a mountain and one foot falling off, trusting that there'll be something to meet his falling foot so he doesn't fall. Anyway, on this, we see here's a path and the beautiful grass leading into the pastures. And Red is just oblivious. She's looking at a beautiful little butterfly that's landed on her hand. You can see why I also love this card deck. They've got rainbow colors all around, and oh, here's her little red hat, and the red symbolizes initiation, fire, your will. But way behind her is something lurking with a red tail around a tree. So that gives a little bit of a premonition of something's coming. So let me pull the book forward here, and I'm going to go back to full screen. So if you don't mind, let me read a little bit from the book for you. This again is a book by Isha Lerner and Mark Lerner. And I think it took them almost 20 years to put this deck together. They really gave it some careful thought, because when we speak about the fairy tale in 2022 now, it's multi-layered. It's metaphor and symbolism on top of metaphor and other symbolisms. So let's see what it says. The classic fairy tale of Little Red Cap, also known as Little Red Riding Hood, is a story of childhood innocence, curiosity, excitement at the onset of a journey, temptation, and the primary stages of becoming an individual. So here she's sent off to go see grandma to grandmother's cottage by her mother with a basket of goodies. So as a naive and fearless child, Little Red Riding Hood is curious about the world, open, and has no concept of the dark forces that may be ready to steer her off course and away from her destination. So I'm reminded of, I asked, what's the energy around me in this now moment? And I know it may not seem like it, but I've spent years listening and studying and reading on the sidelines or in classes as a student, absorbing all things metaphysical. So it wasn't till just, I don't know, thanks to Robbie, Bob, Akashic Bob's support and Jimmy, that kind of led me to come out and do this YouTube channel and become a little bit more public. Well, I would say become public. And little did I know it would just bring me so much joy to share with you what I love. So in some ways, I'm like Little Red Riding Hood, off on my journey. I got a basket of goodies, but guess what? I did not listen to my mom. I did not heed her advice about just go straight to grandma's house. No, I got sidetracked. And so in that sidetrack, I meet a big bad wolf. And the big bad wolf wants to know, where are you off to? Where are you going? Where's your grandma live? You know, and so she's giving way too much information. The wolf then proceeds to go ahead of Red on the path, and she just picks berries, chases butterflies, and is enjoying the innocence and her journey. And the wolf goes to grandma's house, according to the story, eats grandma, pretends he's grandma in bed. So by the time Red shows up at the door, you know the story here. My grandma, why is your nose so big? Why is your eye so piercing? You know, and so anyway, you know, it ends with even Red Riding Hood. In the real story, she got eaten too. Okay, so the wolf gulps down grandma, gulps down Red, and then proceeds to sleep in grandma's bed. And unfortunately, the big bad wolf starts to snore loudly until someone coming by could hear the snoring, and it was the the hunter. He'd been tracking and trying to find this big bad wolf because it had done big bad things before too. So the huntsman slays the wolf by opening its belly. Out pops Red, out pops grandma. And I guess in some ways, the wolf is still alive because then the huntsman fills the wolf's belly with rocks and then puts it in the river and it sinks and dies. It's a fairy tale. What am I going to say? So when we put our little monocle on with Carl Jung and look, what do all those metaphors mean? The big bad wolf, according to Isha Lerner, could be our own personal shadow. It's that part that's always behind us. And a lot of times we don't like to deal with our shadow. Like, what are the things I really could use to learn in this lifetime? You know, what is it that I don't really want to face? Because when the light is shining on me in 3D, I'm going to cast a shadow. So the big bad wolf as the metaphor for shadow. I had to pause for a minute and kind of do what's behind me? You know, what shadow is showing up for me now that I just don't want to face? So I'll sit with that, maybe do a little journaling. And thank you, Huntsman, for saving us. And another way of looking at this is its little red cap is a story of rebirth, of regeneration, of like release from the wolf's womb. Okay, so another opportunity to come forward and continue life, be reborn. Well, that's all I got for tonight. I'm hoping that you're as enchanted with Isha Lerner's Fairy Tale Tarot as I am. And as I feel inspired, I'll share more stories because after all, you know, when we think about what it is and how we define ourselves, what are the stories that I've been carrying, that I've been taught? Do I want to reevaluate some? And what stories do I want to create going forward? So for me, the playground and the rainbow is all about the pure potential of what do I want to dream into being next. And for me, from a child's perspective, just want to sit and dream about balance, peace, and harmony. I know that sounds like, kind of trite, but in its essence, I can just get myself to neutral, and just turn off the noise of what's happening around me. Um, I'm doing something very good for the collective by just trying to stay calm, stay collected. So, didn't mean to get too heavy, but thank you. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you next time on the playground. Have a great day. Bye.